You're also watching the Wednesday edition of New Dawn on Ogun State Television, and we've come to the interview segment. And as is our custom, we always look at critical issues, we always look at burning issues. As we work towards the 2023 elections, it's becoming imperative for us to look at virtually all the areas that, that are necessary to give us a sound and free and fair election. And one area which we cannot run away from and which is very important is security. So we are situating security in the 2023 general elections. And when you talk about security, particularly in this part of the country, there is no other unit that is saddled with that responsibility much more than any other person. We're talking about the Nigerian police. So we have a representative right here this morning, an able representative actually, who will be able to look at these issues. We're going to rub minds together. We're going to see what we need to do and what are the other things, we shouldn't do, and every other detail that we need to know just to sustain security in 2023 elections. I have in the house the 2IC to the Police Public Relations Officer in Ogun State. Of course, when you say 2IC, I think that's second in command. Yes. ASP Oluwole Folashade would like to welcome you to New Dawn this morning.
Good morning, sir. It's my pleasure to be with you.
All right. Moses, let's set the ball rolling.
Many thanks for joining us. We're less than 7 months to 2023 general elections. I don't think it's not too early to situate security in the 2023 general elections. But just bring us up to speed about the readiness of the preparations of Nigerian police for 2023 elections.
Thank you very much. Good morning once again, our listeners at home. The election 2023 is fast approaching, and we won't say it's too early to begin to talk about it because it's already in the air, we can all see. As far as the Nigerian police is concerned, as an institution that is saddled with the responsibility of security, particularly the protection of lives and properties, we are not oblivious of the fact that an election period comes with a lot of challenges, and because of that, we prepare quite ahead of time. From the hierarchy, from the first secretary level, there's a lot of preparation that is already ongoing and that will still continue until the election and even after the election. There are several steps of preparation. As far as the organization is concerned, the police institution, we have training and retraining of our officers to get them fully ready and prepared for the challenges ahead. And part of the preparation is sensitizing the public too, which will be coming up subsequently. Sensitizing the public on what they should do and what they should not do so that the hands of the law will not catch up with them. So we are preparing and we'll keep preparing until the election.
Now, let's look at the last election in Osun. How would you rate the effectiveness of the security operatives in your own perspective? Would you score yourselves a pass mark, even though I know you are not from Osun State, but we all watch? How would you rate, the performance of security operatives during that, and then particularly assess, maybe you have a little assessment of that election, and what's your overall assessment of it?
Yes, as far as the security is concerned, in the Osun State election that have just come and gone, I will not be selfish to say I rate the security operations and the operatives very, very high. Okay. Because our men went, they saw, and they conquered. Yes. They went, we come from all over the states. Okay, there were people who even came from here. Yes, yes, our men went from Ogun State and from other states too. And we give God the glory. It was peaceful. They performed as expected. Okay. Even though there is no how election, there will be an election that there won't be some little hitches, but then it was not beyond our control. Okay. So everything was okay. Well, we rate ourselves very, very high. Okay.
Well, I mean, all eyes on Austrian elections. About 50,000 policemen were deployed for that election. But come 2023, which is a general election, well, will there be enough police? Because we could rate Austrian election to be quite peaceful, enough policemen well on the ground to foster peace and all that. But 2023 will be a different ball game entirely. So what's the assurance that we also enjoy peace?
We assure the public that we're going to put in our best to ensure that there is peace and to ensure that the elections are peaceful. It's going to be a general one. Most of the states will be having the elections almost synonymously. It's not a new task to us. We've been doing it, and we keep improving on what we have on ground. So, and like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be having training and retraining of our officers towards the election. So it's not a big thing. People should not be apprehensive. There's nothing to fear about. We've been doing elections, and we believe, as far as improvement is concerned, this oncoming one will even be better than the ones we had previously.
Now let's look at insecurity, particularly around the election period. The fact that from your own perspective, where do we always have that problem? Is it from the politicians? Is it from the people? Is it from even the force itself? So that if for example, we are going towards 2023 elections now, the politicians are working, the people are also working, and there's a crisis sometimes. People steal ballot boxes and all of that, and even though it looks like what INEC is doing now, it's gradually bringing that to a non-event. But then, in your own perspective, what makes it so tough that during this election there are some flash points, there are some areas that you regard as flash points?
Yes, the truth is, elections are usually attached to so many things. Okay. Part of it is some selfish interest. Part of it is some what I call ignorance. Okay. So some people just act without even knowing the consequences of their actions. You just do things because they've been told to do so, or probably they saw someone else doing it. Part of the challenges that usually occur during election is people misbehaving at polling units. Okay. When I say misbehaving, you see people who come like thugs. Okay. They come with force of fighting. They come with the intention of snatching ballot boxes. They come with different kind of things. Some even come canvassing for election right there at the polling unit. All these are wrong. They are against the electoral rules. And so, when such thing happens, the police will not do otherwise than to get such persons arrested. And that is why most times, before the elections, we go on air, we sensitize the people to make them realize that there are certain things you just don't do during elections, so that the elections will be peaceful and then we won't have any cause to arrest anybody. But then there is no way in any society, there's no way you won't get one or two people that will be kind of recalcitrant, that they don't just want to do what is right, no matter how much you tell them. So when we get such people, the next thing is for us to get them arrested, investigate them. Probably they've been sent by someone or for whatever reason. During our investigation, we'll get to establish the fact. I don't want to throw blame on anybody. There are different things that could lead to that, yes. So it is, if any such occurrence takes place, we arrest such persons, we investigate, then we can establish the fact behind their actions.
All right, now you you talked about the fact that this Osun election, you had about, I think was even Moses was saying, you had about 50,000, personnel. But in Ogun State, for example, now, according to INEC reports, we have about 5,042 polling units. Would there be enough manpower to handle, because even if, assuming if it was Osun, you deployed, I wouldn't know how many polling units there were in Osun, but, in Ogun State, that means if you deploy 50,000 to 5,000 polling units, that's about an average of maybe 10, is it 10 now, if my mathematics is all right? So how prepared, do we have an effective number of the workforce that will be able to manage, this, such that because sometimes you want to wonder, okay, how is it that somebody comes to snatch a ballot box when a policeman is there?
Okay. Let me start from the first part of the question.
Thank you.
Managing or the ability to cover all the polling units is never a big deal as far as we are concerned. Apart from the number of policemen that we have in this command, we also have synergy with other sister security agencies.
Okay.
So it's not a one-man thing.
Okay.
When we're going for election duties, it's not only the police that you find in such places. We have the NSCDC, we have the men from the correctional centers, all other sister security agencies. So we have that synergy. We come together as one, and then we are deployed to various polling units. So it's not a thing to be worried about. That is how we've been managing it in time past. Yes.
Okay, my question is, won't the escalating security situation in Nigeria lead to increased militarization of the voting environment?
I was actually trying to answer the second part of his question before.
Oh, okay.
You could answer your question, and then we now take his own question.
Yes. What leads people to?
The question is, you say this thing is being managed, security personnel are here,
yes,
and then you still have boxes that are being snatched.
Yes.
Does it not tell that somebody is not doing what he's supposed to do?
Well, as far as we are concerned, we are doing what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
And then when we're going for election duties, we don't go there like we are going for war. Okay. We don't go there like we're going to arrest armed robbers. There are levels of preparation for each duties. We assume that the electoral scenes is supposed to be a civil environment. It's supposed to be a place that will be peaceful. We should not come with a kind of a mode that will pose apprehension on the people. So we don't go there armed. We don't go to such places armed. But then we have our patrolmen around.
Okay.
Even though the people at the polling units are not armed, it won't be very far for us to get in touch with those that are armed. So like I mentioned earlier, there are always this kind of people that always want to work against the peace of the peaceful conduct of an election. But when they come, and you know somebody who is going to carry out a crime, he comes prepared. But they don't meet us on our way. When they come, the next thing we do is quickly, as much as we can, get in touch. We have the control room. The control room will call the closest patrol team to come and attend the situation. Yes, so that is it.
Yes, I wanted to know if the escalating security situation presently, won't that lead to increased militarization of the voting environment, especially in volatile areas like Anambra, Northeast, and Northwest?
Thank you. You will recall that when the Anambra election was to take place, there was a lot of agitation from different quarters. People were afraid of militancy and all that, the security threats in that axis. But at the end of the day, we had it peaceful. So let us not panic beyond reasoning. There's nothing to panic about. As far as we are concerned, we are putting in our own best. to see that we tackle whatever such challenge that might want to arise. And at the same time, like I mentioned earlier, that we have synergy with other sister security agencies. So there are meetings. There are going to be a lot of meetings among the hierarchy to interact, to see what should be put in place to make sure we have a peaceful conduct of the election. So we should not be afraid.
Well, with the electoral law or the electronic transmission of results, I think we may not witness no ballots, no box, no snatching. That might have become the thing of the past. But what about crowd trouble? How trained the officers to control the crowd?
Because let me make it a little, sometimes, we've been watching elections. We've been privileged to see one or two previous elections, monitor and all of that. And sometimes you see the officer that has even been brought to the polling unit. You yourself, you are afraid that, are you sure if crisis begins here, this man will be able to handle this crisis? So maybe you add that to how do you, deal with situations like that?
Okay. Part of our training, part of our responsibility is controlling of crowd to maintain law and order. So when we come to such places, like I said earlier, we don't come with force. We don't come like we are going for a fight. But we make sure that people behave themselves orderly. Doesn't matter how much they are. If they can only cooperate with the security agencies around, there won't be any problem. There are protocols. There's a place to do your accreditation, there's a place to cast your vote, there's a place to wait for the counting of your votes. All that is not supposed to be a problem. All we need, and that we always solicit, is cooperation from the people. If the people will only cooperate and try to coordinate themselves even to some extent, we won't have any problem with them. Okay. And that is one message I want the people to really take this morning, to see that they minimize the pressure on the security agencies by conducting themselves in an orderly manner when they come to election polling units.
All right. Now, there are areas where there are security, threats now, even all across the country. Those ones are known, but are there, well, maybe that's not a question we should ask, how do you now, project further to make sure that, even because trouble brews where you don't expect, so what are you doing to make sure that this time around, and then are there arrests being made? Do we get to see people who misbehave, at the polling units or whatever? Do we get arrests? If we get arrests, do we know what happens to them? Is there any disciplinary action that is taken against anyone who creates problem right at the polling unit? Yes. Or even at rallies, because now we're just looking at the election, but even that prior to the election there will be rallies, different rallies all around. Yeah. So I'm not too sure whether we've seen public display of people who were arrested, during this election, causing crisis, and this is what was done to them, such that anybody who wants to do that, it will serve as a deterrent.
Okay. Before elections, our training and retraining comprises of several things. Part of it is improving on our intelligence gathering. Okay. Another part of it is patrol, effective patrol. Okay. There is what we call bush combing. Okay. In all of these things, what we do is to make sure that we are proactive. Okay. So say that we are proactive to be able to nip every ugly incident in the bud, okay, so that it doesn't even take place. But peradventure, it does. Okay. When we arrest offenders, we first of all investigate. Okay.
Okay.
When we investigate, we establish certain facts as to maybe there are other accomplices that are not present at that moment. Investigation will help us to know further who are those sponsoring such actions. By the time we are okay with all our evidences, we will charge such offender to the courts. When we take people to court, it is not for us to begin to announce it on the air. We don't deem it important. But if the public are so interested in knowing the outcome, nothing stops someone or even the media from following up to the court. Yes. If they follow to the court, they'll be able to see things for themselves. And it lies on the judge, the magistrate, to deliver judgment. Our own duty stops at investigation and prosecution. So when we take them to court, the judge will pass the judgment accordingly.
Because the impression is our police officers are always reluctant to make arrests, at the polling units. Now, vote buying, it's a big problem now, and we know it's quite illegal. So what we also be doing, would they be arrested, those buying, including those selling? What is the position of the Nigerian police?
Yes. Vote buying is a very, very wrong approach at election polling units. We discourage it at all levels. It is a crime. It is not good. And anyone that is found, they are the one buying or the one selling, the security agencies there will not do otherwise than to get them arrested. We would like the members of the public to be mindful of that. Allow the people to exercise their franchise. Let them follow their mind. Let them vote for the candidate of their choice. We don't need to influence them with anything. But then, if anyone feels, maybe they feel threatened or they feel like if they don't do this, they won't get what they want, it is wrong to sell or buy votes. That is the message for them.
All right, it is wrong to sell or buy votes. The numbers are on the screen. We have the Deputy Police Public Relations Officer, Ogun State Command, ASP Folashade, in the house. We're looking at, sustaining security in the 2023 elections. If you have questions, she is here to take those questions, while we also look at other critical issues, particularly regarding the elections before, during, and even after the election period. The numbers are on the screen. You could call in and join us and be part of the discussion. What are your expectations? What are you, what do you want? And any other information you want to give, we will be willing to take that now, because we have somebody who is competent enough to take on any of these questions. Madam, I'm sure you are ready anytime that people call. Now let's also now look at, because when you're looking at elections, the election day is one thing. But prior to that election day, there would, I think around September or thereabout, rallies will begin. Yes. And then when rallies begin, rallies happen at different locations simultaneously. Are you concerned? Are you fully prepared, to handle hooliganism, to handle all of those things within the framework of those rallies?
Yes, it is the freedom of the political parties to carry out their rallies.
Okay.
They need to sensitize the people. They need to encourage them to vote for their parties, that it is their right. But then, we let people understand that in exercising your own rights, you must not do anything to trample on another person's rights. Okay. You must not do anything against the law. So, as much as they are free to carry out their campaign rallies, which is their right, we like to let them know that anything criminal should be discouraged. Okay. Criminality in the sense that you don't need to begin to threaten somebody. Okay. You don't need to begin to throw abusive words on another person. Okay. You don't need to do anything that is not peaceful. that is not lawful because you are campaigning for your own party. Let us try as much as possible in exercising our rights. Let us also try as much as possible to exercise our duties as responsible citizens of this country. We should try as much as possible to do anything we are doing. Even in those campaign rallies, we should do everything under the ambit of the law.
Well, perhaps you may have to correct or speak on this notion that the police take sides during elections.
The police take sides during election? That is totally wrong. Police, if you notice, police don't vote on election days. Okay. We don't even have that such time. We are busy with our responsibilities to ensure peaceful conduct of the election. So we have no reason to take side of any party. We belong to all the parties. The police is expected to be neutral. Okay. And that is where we stand.
Are they really neutral?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We might have our own party that we like, but as far as our duties are concerned, you don't have to take part. You don't have to, because you are not taking part in that voting. Yeah, so you don't have to encourage anybody against anybody. But because everyone is free to vote for the candidate of their own choice.
Because there could also be some bad eggs.
Even if there are bad eggs.
Okay, we are seeing some shots here. Okay, maybe these are not. Some policemen also carry arms. At election.
Those must be the people on patrol. Not those standing at the polling units. Yes, it's against our rules to go to polling units with firearms. Yeah. Because we are dealing with a lot of crowd there, and we have different temperaments, so we don't want to encourage any casualty. That's why.
You're talking about bad eggs, because we've seen cases where policemen have been fingered in certain irregularities.
Well, if we're talking about bad eggs, I wouldn't completely say there is none. There could be. But that doesn't mean what they are doing is right or what they are doing is encouraged from the hierarchy. No. What we have as far as our training is concerned is that we must be neutral when it comes to election matters. We should be neutral at every level. We don't have to take side of any party against any other party. But in case of any bad eggs, if they are caught, they will be dealt with accordingly. We have our disciplinary departments. So if we have such reports, the police authority will definitely deal with such bad eggs.
And now that INEC has embraced technology, we talk about transmission of result electronically. What about the Nigerian Police Force? We'll also be seeing maybe certain ingenuities, innovations, the use of drones and others come 2023?
Yes, in fact, the introduction of technology have really gone a long way to ease the challenges that usually accompany electoral duties. And the police too, we're not lagging behind. Like I told us, we are improving on every of our strategy. We're going to be, we will include in our strategies the use of drone, the helicopters, and even our communication gadgets. We have our communication gadgets on ground. We're still going to have more, so that at the tip of a finger, we can pass any message to the control room if there's any need. Like when I was telling us earlier that even though the policemen at the polling units are not armed, it won't be too far for us to get in touch with those that are armed in case of any thuggery in our polling units. So we are improving.
Now, the normal average notion of the normal view of the average Nigerian about the police is, even though the police say police is your friend, and all of that. Okay, I just say he's calling from Abeokuta. I just say good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah.
We are not a fool. This police officer is talking. We are not a fool. By somebody who got government bad. We want to campaign and tell him that you did not do law, you did not do that. You say it's not mentally, it's on fear. Thank you.
what I didn't get what he said. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure I understood what. Maybe we should make it a little clear. This is about security, sustaining security during the 2023 election. So questions, must be related to the issue on ground. How do we sustain security? Yes, we are situating it, but in the process of situating it, we are looking at how do we sustain security? How do we go to the election, the polling units? How do we go to our rallies free? These are issues that we are looking at, and we are discussing with the Deputy Police Public PRO in Ogun State. And we're looking at various issues. So any questions that you want to ask, as the numbers are on the screen, it's going to come back on the screen shortly. Any questions must be related to the issue that we're discussing. Otherwise, we might have to cut the call. Thank you very much. Now, we were looking at the fact that, the average view of the Nigerian person is that, the police is ill-equipped, ill-prepared, and even when you call them, when there is an emergency and you call them, they don't respond immediately. It's when the emergency had gone, that's when they now begin to respond. And now we're facing another election. We're working towards the 2023 elections. How do we balance this to give the average Nigerian enough confidence that, okay, based on what we are saying, based on all of this, yes, we can confidently say the police is fully prepared to take on these elections?
Thank you. There is always this common notion that the police are not your friend. Let me say the way the public say it.
Okay, you have had it.
Several.
Okay.
As much as we try to let them know that police is your friend, there are still this set of people that majority, to be frank, don't want to accept it. But that is the truth. Okay. Because if you don't accept that police is your friend, when you are in trouble, God forbid, you will definitely need the police. At that point, will you still call them your enemy? That aside, talking about response to distress, I won't accept that it is all the time. Though there could be some times that there could be some delay due to certain issues. Might be logistical, might be lack of details of the information. Several things could be responsible for delay when it happens, but it is not all the time. We do all that we can to see that we respond to distress call as quick as possible. And another thing that usually causes such delays is that when incidents happen in a place, there are police division that handles or that have jurisdiction over such places. Such divisions are very, very close to such areas. So if we contact the division, it will be easier for them to respond faster. But what we see most times is people in such situation will prefer to call the headquarters. They will call the control room. That is also good, but it will be faster if they had called the division that has jurisdiction of that place, that are even much closer to them. Because when you call the control room will have to get in touch again with the division, because that is the closest place.
But could it not be that because they don't have the contact?
And that is why we encourage people to relate with the police. And that brings us to the point of making police your friend again. If you see us as your enemy, you don't come close to us when there is peace. You see, it is in the time of peace that we prepare for war. Or if you don't make friends with us when there is peace, when there is trouble, then it becomes compounded, getting in touch with us. But if you have established a good relationship with the police, when there is no problem, when there is no trouble, you will see that it will be very easy to get in touch when there is need. So let's feel free. Move closer to your police stations, get the phone numbers of the divisional police officers and other senior officers in such places in case of any emergency. Don't pray for emergency. So that if you need them, you could simply call on your phone.
Sorry to cut you. Do you mean that I can walk to the divisional police and say, please, I like to get the number of the DPO here.
Very sure.
And they won't charge me for intrusion.
As a matter of fact, sir, we have them displayed around the police station. It's not until you ask the DPO himself. Okay. If you come to the police station, you meet the charge room officers. Please, I'm here to have the DPO's number.
Okay. Sorry, we have Toba calling from Abuja. Good morning, Toba.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
I'm calling from Abuja.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I appreciate that. I shall spoke you well, and I'm impressed with all your statements. Yes, so what I want to ask police officers to do, I want them to use their security during election day. You might see the polling booth, other people will be going to adjust the ballot paper. You know, are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
So the situation on the ground, they should be violent. I'm hearing you.
Go ahead, you keep on speaking where we can hear you.
Okay, so the 2023 election should be prepared with helicopter, with everything. So the state of in Nigeria, we need the assistance of women, both civil defense, immigration, even military, not the military, in the civilian or whatever, on the election ground. For the situation on the ground, we need military to work in synergy with. So please, in important situation, deploy and so please, call before now. That's the attack. She has spoken well. Don't know. The aspect of police, you are the person at but at times when you have the police station, the way some of them handle cases, there won't be proper investigation. I reported the case, and I said, I reported the case against it will become like an outlaw. I will oppress that person this morning. Instead of police investigating the case properly, you know how these officers, some of them, they are just the bad eggs. So instead of police investigating a thorough case, some of them will be money. They start overreacting. So that police are not their own. When you fall into some categories where police are not just I don't think it's the attitude.
Okay.
All right. Well, we have to cut you share because we still want to take other callers. I think he's not really asking a question.
Yeah, many thanks,
Thank you
Mr.
so much.
Toba. Yes, I think he just contributed, talked about the need for proper investigation.
And
now,
then synergy. He
and
also
synergy.
was talking about, and I think maybe we can even quickly take that because you find out that it's not only the Nigerian police, you have, how easy has this synergy been? You know, don't you find situations where you work at cross purposes, you know, and then eventually when even you have occasions where you have military police or military men, you know, coming round, how smooth has that synergy been?
The synergy among the police and other sister security agencies is quite good. It's commendable. And whenever we come out for any assignments with other sister agencies, we oftentimes have unity of purpose. We know that we are out for this, and that is what we face. There is no space for rivalry. We don't rival among ourselves. we understand the part of our duties as it differs from one of us to the other. So we don't have anything to struggle about. So our synergy is just okay. At the command level, at the management level, our Commissioner of Police, CP Larry Bankole, is the chairman when it comes to others.
Okay, just a minute, madam.
Olubayo, I was calling from Abeokuta. Good morning, Mr. Olubayo.
Good morning.
Your question
go ahead
or
with your
comments?
questions.
All right, good morning. I just want to appreciate the television station for the program this morning, but I also feel strongly that the statement made by the police officer about the fact that even if you say police is not your friend, one day you need police, and then what are you going to do? Seems to me vindictive, in the sense that the reason why Nigerians usually feel police is not their friend, there are things we cannot be saying on TV. Nigerians have experienced a lot with the police, and they have concluded that police is not their friend. I can give you a very good example. This morning, I was driving from my home, and some police officers talked to me, around Abeokuta Metropolis. And I waited just for their truck to park. And after their truck parked, I zoomed off. And the police officer told me, go and kill yourself. Is that a friendly statement? Whether on the road, whether at the police station, whether at the polling booth, we've experienced things. And that's the reason why people are concluding, are these people our friends? They are asking questions. Police should really make themselves friendly for us to know that they are our friends. We want to be friends to them. And people will fear police because they bear arms. They will fear them because they have all those things to, immediately control you. We want to be the friend of police, but police should also be our friend. We are pleading. Good morning.
All right.
Yeah, many thanks, Mr. Lubaya. Well, talking about police is your friend, police is not your friend, and there are several reasons, for Nigerians to believe, Nigerian police are not friendly, particularly the youths.
Well, like last caller just mentioned, and citing his experience this morning, I want us to know or to note that for every action, there will probably be a reaction. Okay. I wouldn't know what led to that statement, because ordinarily somebody will not just stop you, and after their own truck passed, you're about going your own, and you just mention such words. Something must have triggered that sentence or that statement. Okay. I was not there, but as the case may be, let us still accept one another. Everybody cannot be perfect. Not even everybody on earth. Nobody is perfect. We need to work and see that we improve on whatever we are doing. And as far as the police is concerned, following our training and retraining of our officers, there is improvement and it will keep improving. But at the same time, we indulge the public to please embrace us as they ought to. Let them stop seeing us as enemies. It's not every time that we fight. Okay. If there's no cause to fight, we don't fight.
Now, some people feel, and these are, we move around, we see, we get to ask questions. Some people feel that, the police is always lucky with their PPROs, and, that if all members of the police force, behave like their PPROs, maybe they would not, they would not be, for example, the current force PPRO now, who was here before at Adejobi. And then even the current one, the PPRO in Ogun State, people find them friendly. But when they now get to police stations, they encounter another thing. And so they are wondering, are we really together?
The same police. Well, police is one.
Okay.
I mentioned earlier that most times it is action that begets reactions. So we should try as much as we can to also be civil with our police, so that our police too can be civil with us. Let us stop seeing them as enemies. Let us stop seeing them as people that should not be related with. If you come to the police, or the police, you encounter the police maybe on your road, on the roads, you are applying the rules, or you are traveling or something. If the policeman on duty stops you and you cooperate, you simply cooperate. If he has to check your car or check whatever, you cooperate easily. There won't be any cause for any trouble anywhere. But what we see most times is even before the policeman on duty or on stop and search stops a vehicle, the driver or even the passengers in the vehicle are already angry. Not knowing that such duties are also helpful for our security. There are times we have been able to arrest armed robbers from such stop and search. There are times we've been able to arrest kidnappers. So if you say they should not stop you, they should not search you, how do you get them?
Elder David, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You're welcome. This is New Dawn.
Thank you, madam. The police officer, God will bless you.
Amen.
Police job is the most strenuous job because they are everywhere. The Nigerian society knows what it is today. I sympathize with them. And may God continue to protect them and their family. Because the millions they find themselves in Nigeria today, we have to sympathize and support with them. But there is a parable that no matter how clever a criminal will be, he will leave a trace by which police will be tested. But the issue is that what I'm trying to say is there must be an informant from somewhere in the location. But if they report to the police, not everybody is bad. There's no organization that don't have the bad one. But we expose the witness. Those are some of the things who are trying to bring there. It's not all of them. The rest of them are very. But they need the cooperation of Nigerians in order to work well, because if we are now saying yes, nobody is giving information, how do they know? The problem we have is the present government is the best that are able to take care of their welfare. The time of PDP, police went on strike because of bad condition of service. The same thing happened for 2015. When this government came and corrected many things. They are trying their best, but because of situation in the country, don't look at that, they are not working. They are actually working. I give them pass mark.
All right, Elder David.
When the police officer, nobody is talking of it.
Thank you.
They have children, they have brothers and sisters, they have fathers. May God bless everything. Let us cooperate with them.
All right, thank you very much, Elder David. Well, he has given a pass mark. Moses, yeah.
Okay. How can one report errant police officers? Because we see some of your men who ask for bribe, who take bribe, and it's very common these days, especially from commercial drivers. We know these things are not right, but it seems to be a normal thing, for some of your men to do. So how can one make a complaint, against a police officer?
Yeah, in the Nigeria Police, we have a department that is absolutely saddled with the responsibility of dealing with errant officers, because we are mindful of the fact that there could be some bad eggs. So if there's any report or there's any observation by members of the public of any policeman that misbehaves, you can simply report to the police authority. Our headquarters is there. Like the Office of the Police Public Relations Officer is open to receive such complaints. We have it is the provost actually that handles disciplinary matters. So when such issues are reported, we call the police officer reported against, and then we invite the parties that are alleging him. Let them come and table their complaint.
Well,
we listen
invitation of the parties.
Yes,
that looks scary.
There's one other thing I also want to...
Invitation. So that we hear from both parties, right in presence of both of them, and then we'll be able to establish the fact. If it demands the officer to be disciplined, then we refer it to the provost, who deals with disciplinary matters.
Okay. Now to response to emergencies. We know that throughout, the emergency code throughout the United States is 911. Why is it so hard for us to have maybe something like that works? Just a code, someone could...
We do. The control room is one. Okay. There is still going to be another one very soon. they were still working on it. As soon as it's set, it will be launched and to be made known to the public. But presently, we have the control room number, and it's very, very fast. If there's any incident anywhere, in case of those who don't have the phone numbers of their divisional police officers, you could call the control room. The control room is in charge of the whole command, the whole entirety of Ogun State command. So when they call, put the such calls to control room will do the needful by reaching the closest police station. And I can even give us that number.
Why not? Why not?
Okay. We'll take that and then we'll give it. But then just before we bring this to a close, there's this PCRC, the Police Community Relations Committee, as we're coasting towards the elections. How robust is that relationship? And how can the community, help, the force in making quite sure that there is a successful and a peaceful election?
Thank you. The PCRC is being very, very supportive to the police. Our relationship with them is quite commendable, and we ask for more because they are the closest. I mean, they are the window between the public and the police. So, and we will still talk as time goes on. We have common forum where we meet on monthly basis. So we'll keep discussing in preparation for a peaceful and a hitch-free 2023 general elections. And the control room number that I was talking about earlier, it is good for us to have that so that if we have any emergency, if we don't have the divisional police officer's number, you could call the control room who will get in touch with them. So the number is 080 81 77 0416. Let me take it once more. 080 81 77 0416. That is the control room, Ogun State Police Command.
Okay. How about you showing us that a code is in the offing?
Yes, very, very soon it will be launched.
All right. I think it's been quite enlightening this morning. We've had the privilege of hosting the Deputy Police Public Relations Officer in Ogun State, ASP Folashade Oluwole. We want to thank you, Madam, for this time, and we hope there will be more synergy, there will be more engagements, there will be more interactions with the people,
hopefully.
So that we can all begin to believe one another. Because when you were saying, when the policeman wants to stop you, I think there is something already prepared in every man that they've come again. So it's not that the police will still have to help us. When you meet us, smile. Hello, good evening. May I see you? Maybe that will help us.
We will try that. Then as we are trying to smile at the public, let them to please try to smile back at us so that we can relate well.
All right, thank you very much, Madam.
It's my pleasure.
That's the first segment now on New Dawn, the Wednesday edition. We'll take another break on the program. When we come back, we are going to look at other issues on the front burner, particularly ASU and the strike action that has refused to go away.